Imagine this, you've built an empire, mansions, yachts, private jets, but one lawsuit, one, could make it all vanish overnight. Sounds crazy, right? Well, it happens. And if you don't know how to protect yourself, it might just happen to you. So what is asset protection? Think of it like an invisible shield. Asset protection is all about legal strategies that separate your wealth from your personal liabilities. But here's the thing, it's not about hiding your money or avoiding taxes. That's illegal. Instead, it's about building legal barriers so creditors and lawsuits can't reach your hard-earned assets. So here's the secret. Asset protection is not a one-size-fits-all solution. The best strategies are layered and diversified. Think of it like building a castle. You don't just have a moat and you have walls, guards, and escape tunnels. In the asset protection world, these layers could be things like LLCs, trusts, equity stripping, liens, and so on. For example, let's say you own multiple properties. Setting up an LLC or limited liability company for each property can shield you, along with a land trust for privacy of ownership. It also enables you to move the property into the LLC without triggering a due on sale clause. What we do is we set up the trust with you as beneficiary, then we have a separate piece of paper assigning your beneficial interest to the LLC for each property, and that's how it shields you. If somebody sues you over one property, they're prevented from going after your personal assets or the other property. And then there's the offshore component. Trust me, this is where the big players come in. That's why we talked about the Cook Islands Trust a moment ago. This is one of the most powerful asset protection tools available. Why? Because it's offshore, far away from the US jurisdiction. If somebody sues you in the States, they can't just waltz into the Cook Islands and grab your assets. Cook Islands laws are specifically designed to protect your assets from creditors, and here's the kicker. There's a statute of limitations. If somebody tries to go after your trust, they have to do it within a very short time frame, and proving fraudulent transfer is nearly impossible under their laws. And that's why the world's wealthiest people have some or most of their assets protected through offshore trusts. It's like putting your money into a vault where nobody can touch it. In fact, I've seen this firsthand many times. One client, a successful surgeon, was sued for malpractice. He had millions at stake, but because he had already set up an offshore trust, none of his personal assets could be touched. He walked away with his wealth intact, while others in similar situations lost everything. Another client, an entrepreneur with a $20 million business, had his assets spread across multiple LLCs and an offshore trust, and when his business was hit with a lawsuit, the judgment creditor walked away with nothing because everything was legally untouchable. So how do you protect your wealth? The first step is to assess your assets. What do you own that could be vulnerable to a lawsuit? And the second step is to diversify. Don't put all of your assets under one roof. Use LLCs and trusts, offshore trust strategies to spread the risk. And finally, work with professionals, such as those of us at Asset Protection Planners, because asset protection is complicated. That's why we have lawyers on staff and financial advisors on our team who specialize in protecting high net worth individuals like you. This is not a DIY project. You wouldn't perform your own surgery, right? Well, asset protection is pretty much the same. It requires precision and expertise. After all, you're working with an opponent who wants to poke holes in your strategies, and that's why you want to make sure to work with a professional that doesn't allow those holes to exist. And if you're not protected, you're exposed. In today's lawsuit-happy world, exposure means risk. If you want to ensure that everything you've worked so hard for is yours, start building your asset protection fortress today.